How's it going, guys? Andrew here with Justified EDC, and today's going to be kind of an update video on some gear that I have in that's going to be getting reviewed, or I'm just taking a look at for the makers, or just new stuff that I have in. It's going to kind of be updating you on you guys on some stuff that's coming down the pipeline, just to kind of keep you updated with where I'm at with reviews and everything like that, and show off some new gear. This is not going to be a review on any of this stuff because most of this is relatively new to me. Some of this is new as I got it yesterday or I got it today, so none of these are going to be reviews. It's going to give you a little bit of an overview and an introduction to the stuff so you can kind of have an idea of what's coming down the pipeline on the Justified EDC channel. Before we get into anything, though, we got to thank the sponsor of the channel. Oh, we got the card backwards. Auxiliary Manufacturing. Auxiliary Manufacturing, Mike over there is doing awesome custom USA-made fixed blades like this Pocket Bowie here. He is headed to Blade Show very soon, so he's working on a bunch of different models. I think he's got like 100 knives that he's sending off to Blade. So definitely check him out. Here's another one of his models, the Sumi model. This is kind of like my desk knife. Used for a bunch of different little projects. He supports the channel. I will leave links to all of his stuff down below. I do have a discount code with him, Justified10. Will get you 10% off your order at auxiliarymanufacturing.com. So thank you as always to Mike for sponsoring the channel. And we do have an ad read today on today's video, so let's go hear a word from them real quick. Recently, I discovered that several websites had my personal information, including my email address, listed on compromised password lists. Even worse, I found my email being listed for the purpose of accessing my paid streaming services for free. It's not the first time I've dealt with online security issues either. In the past, I've been the victim of credit card fraud that my bank didn't catch, and it costed me money and countless hours resetting passwords and trying to secure all my accounts. It's extremely frustrating and alarming to see how easily your data can be leaked online, and trying to get it taken down and secured can feel like an overwhelming and daunting task. But that's where the sponsor of today's video, Aura, comes in. Aura is like a digital shield, protecting you from the constant threats that are lurking online. It alerts you when your personal information is being sold on the dark web or by data brokers, and automatically removes your information from their websites. With Aura, you can have peace of mind knowing that you're being proactive in securing your online presence. And this is really important now, more than ever. Recently, AT&T revealed that over 73 million customer records were released onto the dark web. They recommended using strong passwords, monitoring account activity, and considering credit freezes or fraud alerts. Aura does all of this for you in one convenient place so that you don't have to juggle multiple apps or worry about your data falling into the wrong hands. I value my privacy, and I know you guys do too. That's why I recommend giving Aura a try if it's something that you think would be valuable to you. You can go to aura.com/justifiededc to start your 2-week free trial. I've also linked it down below in the description and in the pinned comment. Take control of your online security today and protect yourself from the ever-growing threats in our digital world. All right, and we're back from the ad read. So we're going to go through these things one at a time and talk about them again. None of these are going to be reviews. They're just going to be a little bit of an overview, show off some cool new gear, and let you know what I'm going to be working on some reviews for. So right here, we have the Arrowhead Goods Co. Outlaw wallet. This is a buddy of mine over on Instagram. That's a leather maker. He does knife slips, wallets, all that kind of good stuff, organizers. And he was kind enough to send this wallet along for me. So I'm going to take the cards out of the back here because I actually I just got this in yesterday. But I carried it last night. I've been carrying it all day today. But I want to take some of the sensitive information out of there. So very simple fold-over style wallet. It reminds me a lot of the... I always want to call them Desoff in the Mirror because that's what they were when I got them. Open Sea Leather. It reminds me kind of their like topsider model, but there are some differences here. So you open this top flap, you have 2 slots back here. You have a slot here, you have a slot here, and then you have the slot for the front of the wallet to tuck into. I just have my like range card, punch card back there. I have some credit cards and whatnot in here. A spot for some twice folded cash. You can tuck that front sleeve away right there. And then you have a slot back here for some like quick access cards. I keep my license and my debit card back here. So I'm going to put those back in just so we can see what it looks like loaded up, but I don't want to show off any numbers or anything. So there it is. You can see 2 quick access cards there in the back. And then you have the ones in the front here. So not a whole lot to say about this yet, again, because I just got it. I do like it. The leather is a little bit thinner than I'm used to on some wallets, but that does keep the size down a lot. This is barely any bigger than the actual credit cards themselves. So if I get you size on here, this is about let's see, about 2 3/4 inch tall. It's about 3 3/4 inch long, and the thickness is about a 1/2 inch thick. And I have this loaded up with, I think, 6 cards, a couple bills of cash, and then my range card. So a nice, very minimalist looking wallet. I am interested in carrying this and checking it out because I haven't switched up my wallet in a whole while because I've just been carrying the Rustic Heirloom Hitchhiker. That definitely has been a favorite of mine, but we'll see how I like this one. So far, so good. The stitching looks really, really nice. I like the color. I like the red thread with this color leather. It looks really, really nice. So there's that. That is the Outlaw wallet from Arrowhead Goods Co. I can't say their name right. I'm sorry. Arrowhead Goods Co. Outlaw wallet. There we go. The next thing here is this is just something I picked up for myself. I have kind of written off Victorinox Swiss Army knives for a while because, one, none of the tools lock unless you get like the really big models with like the one-handed opening knife. But I mostly like having a locking set of tools for my multi-tool. That being said, I wanted to give Victorinox another try. I wanted to give them a fair shot. So I've been researching which tool I wanted to carry that would do all the things that I wanted it to do. You know, previously I had been carrying the Milwaukee Fastback here with the drivers. So really what I needed my multi-tool to do is I wanted one tool that had drivers, a utility knife, and a pry tool. And then also because because most Victorinox tools have the tweezer and toothpick, I was able to replace, where did it go here? My little classic SD that I keep in my tool pouch that I really just kept in there for the toothpick and the tweezers. So this takes care of several tools here. So let me pull out all of the things that this is replacing in one tool. There we go. So before, these were the things that we were carrying. You had my FLC pry bar, which again, I kind of traded off just to use the flathead in the Milwaukee Fastback. So this is replacing a pry tool, my drivers, a utility knife of some sort, and then the toothpick and tweezers on the SD. So instead of these 3 tools, we just have this right here. So this particular Victorinox is the Hiker. And I went back and forth between a bunch of different models. You know, I've had compacts, I've had Tinkers, I've had Super Tinkers, I've had Cadets, I've had a ton of classic SDs, I've had the nail clip, I've had a bunch of different Victorinox models, but what I wanted on here, and I'll open up all the tools so you can see them. So you have your regular Victorinox main blade, you have a small pen blade, you have the can opener with the small flathead here on the top that can also be used to drive certain Phillips screws. You have the bottle opener, which does have a half stop here with the large flathead on the top and the wire stripper. And then on the back, you have the 3D Phillips and if I can get it out. It's really hard to get all of these tools out at once, but I promise there's an awl in here. There we go. Jeez. All right. And then also up top here, I forgot to get it out. It's kind of hard with getting all of the tools out here at once, but there's also a saw on the top. If I can get all of these out at once. I refuse to edit this video. You guys are going to get to sit here and watch me struggle with all of these tools. So that's the tool set that we're looking at. And then we also have the toothpick, the tweezers, and behind the spot for the 3D Phillips. It doesn't come included, which I don't understand why, but there is the spot that you can put the small pin in there. So this is the multi-tool that I chose. So, you know, we have multiple blades here that take care of our utility cutting. We have our drivers, we have our flathead and our Phillips head. We have the large flathead, which works as a pry tool. And then a couple extra implements that, you know, when I was carrying my Leatherman Free T2, I really did enjoy having an awl. That one is an awl and a reamer, which this one is as well. Awls and reamers are extremely useful tools if you know what you're doing with them. So it's nice to have that back again, and I do like having a wood saw around. I'm not like constantly doing bushcraft work like a lot of people are, but I do enjoy having a wood saw around. It's just really helpful to do notching and stuff like that. So I wanted, if I'm going for all the other tools, I'm going to get a little bit of extra anyways on my Victorinox. I might as well get a wood saw in there. I considered getting the Huntsman. I looked at that one as well, but it had a couple extra things that I didn't really need. I was looking at the Ranger, but then that was getting a little bit big, so I ended up going with the Hiker. Down the road, I would the amount of the set of tools that I wanted in a Victorinox. There isn't one with the exact tools that I wanted. Like, I'd love to have this, but with a file and a corkscrew, because the corkscrew is really good for working knots and stuff like that. I do like having the file because, in my line of work, it's nice to be able to knock the edge off of some sharp metal and stuff like that. So the Huntsman does have the file and the corkscrew in addition to a couple other things, but then you lose the 3D Phillips, which I really didn't want to lose. So, it's kind of thing that I wish Victorinox would do, like a custom shop where you could pick and choose all of your tools based on how many layers your tool has. But for now, we're going to be carrying this alongside my fixed blade and see how it goes. So that is the Victorinox Hiker, and that is going to go right back in my pocket. Okay, let's see. Next thing here. This is a knife, and I'm going to hope that I remember all of the details on this, because the person I got this from gave me a whole bunch of wrong information, and then someone else on Instagram had to correct me because they actually knew what they were talking about. I believe this is from a maker called Losty Forge, and this knife is the Splinter. It's an 8670 steel with a Scandi grind, and then this mocha paper micarta, which it looks absolutely gorgeous. The handle on this is finished so well. I love the pattern of this micarta. Feels really great. It has some jimping here. It's a very small knife. Let's get you some size on here. It's about a 2-inch blade, about 5 3/4 overall. Your handle length is like 3.5 inches. So really nice knife. About 1/8 inch thick. Comes down to a nice Scandi edge. I'm not usually a big fan of Scandi grinds, just because they're usually more suited to outdoor use, to like doing feather sticking and stuff like that. Especially with a small knife like this, you're just gonna kind of be shaving feather sticks and doing some carving and stuff. You're not going to be doing a lot of heavy bushcraft, but a nice enough knife. The sheath works very well. It's got a thumb ramp here for you to push off. I think the person that had this last cut this in there. I don't think this came like this from the maker, but it is kind of like a pocket hook. You can kind of catch this on your pocket and pull it out. So if you just want to drop this down in the pocket. I haven't really carried this much. I'm absolutely in love with how gorgeous this handle is. That's really the only reason I still have this knife. I got this in a trade. Some idiot on Instagram. Long story short, I had bought or traded a buck 110. I forget what I even gave him, but I got a buck 110 from him. He was the one that you guys saw in here. Lots I used for size comparisons and everything like that. It's great to have a buck 110 around. Well, then he came back and had some sob story about it, how it was sentimental to him and how he needed it back. And he didn't have the cash to pay me for it. And I'm like, all right, I don't really want to deal with you. What do you have to trade? I'll trade you your stupid buck 110 back. And he offered me this. And I was like, not really my normal thing, but at least I'll get something cool out of it that I can show off on camera. Honestly, I'm probably going to sell this knife. From the guy that I talked to, this is actually a pretty rare piece. The guy that makes these doesn't really make these in these handles anymore, so I don't really know anything about it. This is actually, if you guys are interested in this, I have no problem selling this right now. Actually, this is for sale over on my Instagram. I think I have it up for like $75. So hit me up on Instagram if you want to buy this. If no one does, I might take it out and use it a little bit and do a review on it. But if not, go ahead and hit me up on Instagram. I'm happy to sell it to you. It's not really my thing, but man, those handles are absolutely gorgeous. Love it. So Losty Forge Splinter, that is that. So you may or may not see that again. The next thing here is from our friend Crossroad Custom, Caleb over at Crossroad Customs. This is a prototype. I'm not going to be probably doing a full review on this because, again, prototype, he still has some changes to make to it. He wanted me to be very clear that this is not a finished product, so the grinds and everything aren't the most even or anything like that, or any fit and finish issues. Honestly, I think it looks pretty good. There's some small things with the edge or whatever, but I think it looks like a finished product to me. But not a finished product yet. This is a prototype that he's working on. You have TerraTough handles here. You have these sectional TerraTough handles. This looks like some kind of like cross-cut micarta or something like this in here. And then these micarta pins. But you have like a tan and a green, and then it's mirrored on the other side. The handle is very like dog bone-esque, I'd say. Extremely comfortable. You have a big wide belly drop point here. Nitro V. I want to say this is 330 seconds. Put this down here. Yeah, I believe this is 330 seconds Nitro V. Short flat grind, but with that 330 seconds comes down to a nice thin edge. This is extremely comfortable. Again, you can do all of kind of your reverse grips and stuff like this, but with that big drop point, you're not exactly going to be using this for any kind of defensive purposes. But as a utility knife, I really, really enjoy using this knife. It is extremely comfortable in hand. I'll get you some sizes on here. It's about a 3-inch blade, about 7 inches overall. Handle about 4 inches, maybe just a hair under. Again, your handle thickness is about a 1/2 inch. 330 seconds Nitro V with the stonewash. You can see his logo on there. I just wanted to show this off. Again, with the caveat that this is a prototype, so any flaws or anything that you might see will change. He might make some changes to the design, but I absolutely love this. And when he does release the final version, I definitely want to pick one up, and I recommend you guys do too. It's kind of like what the SE Azula should have been in my mind, like a little bit better handle, a little bit more neutral, a little bit more blade. And then obviously I love it because it comes with an Offensive Industries deep carry sheath, which is how all EDC fixed blades should be carried, in my opinion. Really cool, like iridescent pineapple with the black background. I think it looks awesome. Sheath retention is ridiculous as always. Just really, really good. I just really like this knife. There's no name for it or anything yet that I'm aware of, but I wanted to show it off, give Crossroad Customs a shout out. Caleb, thank you again for sending this along for me to check out. I'll hit you up in the DMs in a little bit. We can talk about this design, but I really, really, really like it. So I just wanted to show it off on the channel a little bit. The last thing here is special. This is, and I don't think this has been shown on YouTube at all yet. It might have been, but this is a new knife from GilTek. So this is the GilTek KT, as I'm seeing on here. It stands for Knife 2. So I think he might have had another version of this, or he had made another knife at some point, but this is going to be a newly released knife that he's doing. If you're not familiar with GilTek, they're known for doing stuff like this. They're just small utility blade holders. Made in a small machine shop here in the USA. These are the polymer versions that they have sent out to be made, but they're still made in the US. If you're more familiar with this design, this is one of their older ones. But GilTek is really known for their utility blades, but they're venturing into knives. So let me pull this out here and give you the specs on here. So the KT is the model, S35VN, titanium handles, ceramic ball bearings on the pivot. Hardware is made of steel or titanium, depending on what you're looking at. There's no pocket clip on here right now, but he did send one along with some Lynch Northwest stuff, so I'm assuming this is a Lynch clip right there. I haven't put it on yet. Again, I just got this, but so I wanted to show it off here on the video while I was doing this video about talking about new stuff on the channel. But I haven't gotten a whole lot of time with this yet, but let me show you. This is a really interesting knife. Closed, it very much reminds me of some Ferrum Forge designs. This is the way that handle flows. Stonewash titanium, very nicely machined, looks really nice. Thumb stud or thumb hole, or this tiny little flipper up here, deployment. So there it is open. It has this really interesting, like almost backstrap lock, I would call it, like a backstrap lock. Similar in terms of like look and in terms of functionality, similar to like a shark lock from Demco. But it does operate differently. I'm going to have to take this apart and look at exactly how it's working inside. But basically, you just press down on this little lever here, which you can see is machined into the actual backspacer of the knife. So you press that down, it releases the blade, and then the blade can swing closed. Now you have this like very minimal flipper tab on here that you can use. You have thumb studs, and you have the thumb hole. You can also just press this and flick it open. Now, two things that he did mention to me that are going to be changing on this for the final version are they're going to increase the detent and they're going to move the location of this lock. Both things I think are very necessary because one, again, when you're kind of using this, sometimes you want to sometimes you just choke up and put your thumb on the spine of the knife, but sometimes you want to choke back on the handle and your thumb lands right on that locking mechanism. So that's not great. But again, he's aware of that. They're going to be changing the location. Also, I believe, just looking at inside of the pivot and everything, the detent is directly tied to this tension of this back strap here. And right now, there's pretty much no detent on here at all. Like, there's a tiny little bit when it gets close to the handle, but you can easily shake this blade out. It's almost to the point of being a little unsafe, but again, I'm not knocking any of this because he's aware of the problems and they're going to fix it before the final run. So I think with this lock placement changed a little bit, like if he placed this a little bit farther back, because the other problem with this is when you're using the flipper, you know how when you flip a knife, your finger kind of lands like right back here below it? Well, it's very easy to land right on that lock and then not have it engage. So see that again where it doesn't engage after using the flipper? So you kind of have to like force your finger to get off the knife right after you use the flipper if you want it to engage. See there, it's just fine. When it's locked in place, it is very, very solid lockup. There's absolutely no play or anything like that. It's locked up, it's really solid. The action is really smooth and easy to use with that lock. But I think if they move it a little bit farther back so that your finger has somewhere to land, that isn't right on that lock, that'll be solid. And if they can increase the tension on that, it'll make it a little bit easier to deploy the blade with a little bit more detent, and it'll keep that blade closed. So that's definitely something that they're going to be working on. The only other thing that I would mention is just how thick this grind is. Now, I'll pull out some paper here to show you, because the edge is very sharp. As the edge goes, I'm doing a bad job because I'm under the camera and I'm trying to do this kind of close to myself. But the edge is very sharp. I'm not doing a very good job demonstrating it, but the edge itself is sharp, but it is very, very thick behind the edge. It's a very short, flat grind. The secondary bevel is really, really wide, so you can see there how thick that gets. Personally, I might recommend to them either, if they want to keep that short of a grind, either do a hollow grind, like start a little bit higher, maybe up here and do a hollow grind if they want to keep that that thickness, or just full flat grind the blade itself. Because while I don't usually mind a little bit thicker of an edge to do some more work, I know that the knife community is not going to be happy with how this is ground right now. So GilTek, like I said, I'll hit you up in the DMs and we can talk. But if you happen to see this first, I would definitely change how you're grinding the edges on these. You didn't say specifically if this was how it's going to be on the final version, but I would highly suggest that you thin this out behind the edge if you want this to be commercially successful for the normal average knife collector. Thin edges are what people want, and this is pretty thick. So I got to give them a lot of props for how sharp the actual secondary edge bevel is, but it thickens up very quickly, and I think a lot of people are going to have an issue with that. So really cool knife. I'm always happy to see small makers in the U.S. coming out with their own designs. Again, this will be a U.S. production knife made here in the U.S. I'm always happy to see new locks and new innovation and stuff like that, and I think this lock has potential to be really cool if they fidget with stuff a little bit. It's cool that it takes lynch clips. It's cool that everything's reversible. This will be completely ambidextrous because you can flip the clip to either side. You have dual thumb studs. Obviously, the hole's ambi, and obviously the flipper tab is ambi, and the lock is ambi because it's all, along the back strap of the knife here. So I think this has potential to be a really, really successful model. I would just say, the things that he already is focusing on of increasing the detent, moving that lock so it's not right in the way of the flipper, and then definitely thin that edge up. But definitely thank him for sending this along to me. I'll definitely be playing with this some more and talking to him about it in the future. But I just wanted to get that out there and show it off because I think it's a really cool product and has potential to be really awesome on the market. So the only other thing here I just wanted to remind you is I will be getting a review out on this Harry's Holsters Infiltrator. I'm currently carrying my Glock in my other holster with the... oh, there's a cat right outside my window. Sorry, my ADD is distracted here. There's a really cute little cat right outside my window. Hi, buddy. All right, back to the video. I can't get too unfocused, even though there's a very cute wild cat right outside my window. I will be doing a review on this very soon. I'm not going to take the gun out and take my light off and everything to show it to you, but the Harry's Holsters Infiltrator, I talked about it in my EDC update. Absolutely excellent full-size holster. They make these for a couple different full-size guns. Mine happens to be for the Glock 17. The wing is molded in. Everything is very nicely contoured and softened, and it's extremely, extremely comfortable. We'll talk about more of the features and everything when we do the actual review, but just wanted to remind everyone that's coming up. And then the last thing here is I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I put a community poll out on YouTube here, which I would love if you guys, after you see this, would go and answer this as well. I'm thinking about starting a series for people that are just getting into knives, some information that might be helpful for them. So a couple of things that I'm thinking about doing are like a video on knife terminology. So, you know, we throw around all these terms when we do knife reviews of, you know, all the deployment methods and the parts of a knife and all these words that we throw around because we're used to them can be really intimidating when someone's getting into the knife community. So maybe do kind of a video on knife terminology. I'm thinking about doing a video on on knife steels, just from a user's perspective, not from anything overly scientific. You know, you can go read Knife Steel Nerds if you really want to know the scientific reasons behind why knife steels do what they do, but just kind of from a user, a layman's perspective of how knife steel performs, a guide to that. I was thinking about doing like a tier list video. I know tier lists are all the rage right now. I like watching tier list videos, but I was thinking of doing like a tier list video of knife companies, just to get my opinion out there of, you know, what I think are some good entry-level companies and which companies doing quality work and which ones to avoid, all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think. Someone had mentioned in the community poll some other ideas. I'm trying to think what they were. There was another one. Anyways, go check out the poll. It's in the community tabs part here on YouTube, and leave me some recommendations of what you'd like to see in that series. What information do you wish that you knew when you were getting into knives that you think would make a good informative video? So with that out of the way, guys, thank you as always for watching. Thank you again to Aura for sponsoring this video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down in the comments below. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.